Well, I am so super excited to have you on the show today, Melissa. Welcome to the success interview for HeartSells Academy.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. So we are talking to Melissa Acuna-Dengo today. She is an inner transformation coach. And we have worked together a while ago. And yeah, there was so much fun, so much interesting things that happened. But tell us just a little bit about you so the listeners or viewers can get an idea of who you are, what you do.
Sure. So I am a former teacher. I started off doing just mindfulness and meditation, and then I got into much deeper, like inner work. And now what I do is I help people to transform their inner bully to an inner ally. So I help them to release all of those limiting beliefs that are stopping them from moving forward, that are keeping them frustrated, keeping them stuck, all that subconscious programming. We take a deep dive, we rewire the subconscious mind for success. And I also help them to install new positive programs, positive beliefs, and to get them from where they are to where they really want to be, to live that higher purpose.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, like the freedom, the lifestyle they dream of. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, totally excited about your work. So tell us a little bit like how did you find me? And why did you decide to work with me?
It's such a fun story. So I was actually at a personal development workshop in LA, and I was flying back to New Jersey where I was living at the time. And it's kind of funny. I don't know if I ever told you this part actually, but I was at the gate, right? And I very much believe in like signs from the universe, and I'm also very spiritual. And I just felt this pull, right? And I saw, it's gonna sound so weird, but almost like a light, right? Like I saw like your light aura. And I was like, oh wow, she, just one of those like kind of note taken kind of moments. Like she's got really cool energy. But you were sitting like on the other side of the gate. So I mean, so I was sitting there, and then I boarded like almost last because I think I ran to get water or something. And when I get to my seat, like, guess who's sitting next to me, right? And I was like, oh, cool. But it's funny because I was really tired. I know you were too, because we had both just been at like super intensive workshops, right? So I had my book with me. So did you, in fact. And we were just kind of ready to just sit and, read, probably sleep, like, but I sat down, and I remember there was just like this pull. Like I just kind of kept feeling like I should talk to you, even though I was like really tired. And I remember we started a conversation, and I think we started talking about the workshop that we were at, and I shared with you. And it's so amazing how these things happen, right? That I had no idea what you did or who you were, but I felt called to share with you that I had just created, like my mission and vision. And you were like, okay, do you want to share it with me? And I was like, sure. And I told you, what I wanted to do, what my mission was. And you were like, okay, cool. And I remember telling you that when I was at this workshop, I had discovered that I really had an issue with selling, right? This is before I knew absolutely anything about what you did, right? I was like, I just discovered this. And, we were doing this exercise, and then all of a sudden it hit me that if I wanted anything for my business, like anything before I were to move forward, it would be to change my sales mindset, right? And you were like, well, and you like, I remember you pulled out your business card because you're like, you're not going to believe this.
I know.
And you just like pulled it out, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this
I remember we
crazy
were both
moment.
we were both so tired, right? And for you listening and or watching, I just want to point out when you're so clear about who your soulmate client is, right? If you've done your soulmate client work, things like these will happen, right? You attract your soulmate client. They will see you somehow. Not everybody can see an aura. Not everybody will have like the strong pull, but somehow people will connect to you. Online and offline, right? Your soulmate clients are kind of everywhere if you have tuned into who that person is. So yeah, that was so fun, right? So that's how we met. And how or when did you decide? Let's do it like this. Like, when did you decide to work with me?
Honestly, I think I decided on the plane. So I didn't make like how do I say it? I didn't take the actual leap until a little bit later, but I think like emotionally I knew. So, we started talking, and just the conversation was like so deep. It was powerful. We really connected on so many levels. And one of the things that I loved, and obviously this fits your brand, but was your heart, right? Like, really, you were just sharing from your heart, and at no point did I feel like you were even trying to sell me or anything like that, right? It was just a conversation between strangers, and you gave me so much value. Like, I still remember, I don't know if you remember this, like you had your beautiful like Mont Blanc pen. Do you remember that? And you were it was so cool. You were like, oh, I have this pen that I love to journal with, and it's really powerful. And you told me, because you were like about to fall asleep, you were so, but you were like, I think that you need to journal on this, like you gave me a prompt because I was spinning in like around something. And I said, okay, yeah. And I had my journal with me. So, I actually pulled it out. I think I'm going to journal. And you lent me your pen. Like, you said, here, write with this and see how it feels. And I was like, ooh, okay. And I did. And I sat there and I journaled. And then, after I'd finished journaling, we talked, and you gave me more value, and you shared a lot. And I just knew, I was like, wow, like her heart, her knowledge, like her, just everything about your presence and what you were giving. I just felt so called to it. And I knew at that moment I didn't have the money for it, but I was like, I feel like I need to work with her. Like, I knew deep down, and in that moment we were just connecting. And then later, we did exchange contact info, and it was probably a couple weeks later or something that I signed up. But I'm pretty sure that was the moment. Like, it was just like, yep, like, I need to do this.
So awesome. Thank you for sharing, Melissa. So what then happened? So you were on board. We started working together. What do you feel was the biggest transformation or the most important result that you have gotten from working together?
So for me, no question, is my mindset around selling and sales. Like, I will tell you, like, I mean, I was at a stage where I literally, like, I probably couldn't sell a pack of gum to people. Like, I was so terrified. I mean, I feel like I was like allergic to sales almost. Like, it was so, like, I couldn't even say the word, without like just cowering and like retreating inside and feeling like, dirty and sleazy, because I had just all of these misconceptions about sales and what it was. And I definitely had a lot of beliefs around, like, oh, I'm so spiritual, and I'm so loving, and I'm so this, and I really just want to serve. And I didn't realize that, not only were those things not mutually exclusive, but that they actually go together, right? And that it felt like such a far leap for me to be able to really charge like Well, and honestly, I didn't know my worth at the time. And that was another piece that you did for me, is that to really help me to see my own worth, to see what I had to offer the world. That was really big as well. Because I'd always been called, right, to do more and to put this big thing out in the world. And yet I kept falling into imposter syndrome and, not knowing like, okay, I do have something really unique and beautiful to share. And now, I mean, I can tell you, like, after working with you, like I do see sales as love. And that was one of the things that called me to work with you, actually, when you told me that you saw sales as love. I mean, first of all, it was such a far stretch for me. At first, I kind of looked at you like, what? But deep inside, I knew that that's what I wanted. It was like, if I can look at sales as love and a service, and I can really equate it with, okay, this is my purpose and this is my mission. And when I sell, I'm just sharing that. I'm getting to be of service. I'm getting to help more people. I'm getting to like create a ripple effect in the world. Like that would be transformational. And that's literally what happens. I mean, I now see it that way. And I actually it's funny, I've worked with some entrepreneurs myself, like, now helping them heal their own blocks. And it's interesting because I hear myself, sharing like your words, we're like, sales is love. And if you have something so powerful to share with the world, like, how dare you not do it? How dare you get in your own way and let your fear stop you? Right. So yeah, hands down, that was the biggest thing.
That's so cool. So people are gonna, you mentioned that you didn't have the money at the time and you had to organize it. So just the question, do you think it was worth it?
Absolutely. Yes. And I've made so much more back since then, and honestly, I really don't know that I would have really started my entrepreneurial journey, because I was kind of like, I had done some things, I had done some workshops that, but I think because my fear of sales was so strong, and I knew that I had to sell in order to have my own business, I think I was at that point where it was like make or break, right? Like either I transformed this mindset and I changed this and I decided, I leapt into it with a whole new perspective, or I made the decision rooted in fear that I just not cut out for this because, I can't do sales, like, because that's what I would tell myself at the time, right?
Yeah. I just love that because your work is so important, and I have so many clients, so I love what they do, and I'm totally excited for them, and I love the work they put into the world, and I'm so happy that you are doing that now, that you do serve and help people with their inner transformation. That's so deeply important. So, well, we already said like where you were at the time, not being able to sell, to actually selling, and then what do you think would have happened if we would have not worked together and you would have started your entrepreneurial journey?
Good question. So I've thought about that actually, because I've talked to a lot of like new coaches, new entrepreneurs, like who are still trading time for dollars, right? Like I was actually talking to a coach who is starting out in like the same field as me, doing, like NLP and hypnosis and all of this, like, deep work. And he's charging like less than $30 an hour. And it's funny because I noticed my reaction when he told me how much he's charging. I was like, oh, I was like, really? And then I had this realization that that would have been me. Like, if I hadn't worked with you and I hadn't transformed my mindset around it, I would have been charging $30 an hour, maybe even less. Like, like I was doing Reiki sessions at the time, because I'm also a Reiki master, and I couldn't get myself to charge more than $50 an hour. And when I tell you like the going rate, like in most places is over 100. It's, some places 120. I now, for separate Reiki sessions, I charge 130, and that's just like a rare one-off like session. But yeah, when I first started, I literally couldn't, like, I was like, it like 50 feels like a lot to me.
Yeah. Well, it's like the sales mindset and the money mindset is so, entangled.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of work that kind of needs to be done during the self-love, self-worth, what's your product worth, and especially around that clarity. So I know we started working one-on-one together, but then you also took the HeartSells Smart Start, which is now the HeartSells High Ticket Blueprint. Can you tell people a little bit what it was like working in a group? Because it is a slightly different setting, just from what you received by this work.
Yeah, so I have to say I loved both, because of course the one-on-one is, it's more customized, like personalized to your business, but the group, I feel like I got so much value out of that too, because it was like, you have a community, like there's people that are on the journey with you that are doing, pretty much the same thing. They're overcoming this challenge. And so it was really beautiful to support each other, to be there for each other. Also, you learn so much from other people too. So every time that, we would get on a call and everyone shared, like they would share their wins. So you would get inspired by their wins. And they would also share what they were struggling with, right? And every time that someone did that, or they asked a question, or, you gave someone a hot seat and like helped them, I feel like it helped me every single time, and I learned so much. And what's beautiful too is that you form friendships, right? Like there's at least 3 people from that course that I'm still in touch with, I connect with, like I've collaborated with 2 of them. And that's just such a beautiful thing. It's like, this space and container to grow together. And I think that that's what I love about, group work. But obviously there's so many different group coaching programs. And I felt like with you, what was beautiful is that even though there was a group of us, it was still intimate enough, and you showed up in such a beautiful way that we all felt taken care of, right? And you actually made the point to like give each of us a spotlight as well. And that was so great, and the opportunity to like celebrate each other. And yeah, it honestly felt like a little family, and yeah. I missed everyone afterwards.
I know. There was like, there was like this void all of a sudden that when it was kind of over and you guys graduated. Yeah, I miss everyone too. So that's why I created a continuing membership where people just can connect and, go from the group coaching or one-on-one coaching into that membership and, still enjoy each other's company. But I know what you're talking about. This is wonderful. I'm so excited that you found your way and that you are successful. You created really beautifully over the past year, and I've been watching you. So I just want to share that I'm really, really proud of you. And I'm honored that we work together because I see your beautiful heart and I see what you are doing for your clients. And as you just described it, the ripple effect will be huge because now they can go out, they can get rid of their inner bully, and they can create whatever they want to create. And then we do have this ripple effect. So thank you so much for doing that. Tell people a little bit what you are up to now and what's next for you.
Sure, yeah. So right now, I've been focusing a lot on one-on-one work. I've also done some collaborations. So I'm working with some like powerful business coaches and, people who focus a lot on strategy, maybe a little bit on mindset, but they don't have the tools or the space or, the training to release stuff. So that was one thing I've been doing. And what's next? I'm really excited, actually. I'm writing a book. So I did co-author a book, which was published in May, but now I'm like, this has been one of my dreams. So I am writing a book about this work and, what I've uncovered and my unique perspective on this. And it's going to come out next year. And I'm also kind of in tandem going to release my group coaching program as well. So I'm excited for that. I've been wanting to do that, felt called to do it. And I think that it's going to be really beautiful to serve more people in, a similar space like what I described, right? Like creating a beautiful community for people. Oh, and I almost forgot. Sorry, I'm like, my retreats. That's like the thing that I'm so pumped about. I have 2 international retreats next year, one in Costa Rica and one in Bali. So yeah, I'm excited.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, for sharing. Just one little thing I would love to touch up on, because I just had the conversation the other day, was unfortunately a couple people who were taken into programs that just weren't a match, and then they couldn't get out, and they kind of spent the money and now they're paying for it and they're totally unhappy. Can you share some advice around that? Like, how can people know who to go to and or who to trust, or what should they do before they start working with someone, so they have some guideline and they're not tricked in by, the very flashy marketing or, the get rich overnight kind of things, because they are in pain. And when we are in pain, we don't see clearly. What would you suggest people do to make a good decision for themselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's 2 pieces. For me, one is the clarity around what you need. Just sort of, doing some journaling, doing some just reflecting on what is it that I'm looking for. Not necessarily, you don't have to have the full, that full vision, because that's also something that someone can help you with. But it's really just knowing, okay, what kind of person would I want to work with? Who is this like? Because you talk about like the soulmate clients, right? But it's also, I think it works both ways. Like, who is your soulmate coach, right? And for me, I knew that, I need to work with someone who, yes, is like, excuse my language, like a badass at what they do. And, they have the knowledge, they have the skills, and they have the heart. And for me, like, that was why I decided to go with you, because I knew that you knew what you were talking about. I knew you had the experience. But the most important thing for me was that how much you care. I mean, that really was felt from the first moment we started talking on the plane until, now, like, it's been a while, like, since we last worked together, right? It's been over a year, I think now. And I still feel supported by you. It's so beautiful, because I feel like, you really invest in your clients. You take, because you talk about like your soulmate clients. And I remember you saying to me, it's like someone I would want to have over for dinner, right? And I love that, because I've taken that into my business too. Like, that's the kind of people that I attract, the kind of people that I work with too. But yeah, it's really someone that cares. So the second piece that I want to just suggest is to feel into your heart, like, really just, is this person going to support me? Do they have my highest interest in mind, right? Like, do they really care about my success, or am I just another number? Because unfortunately, for a lot of programs out there, that is what it is, right? And it's a shame, and honestly, I've fallen into that too. I've invested in programs that I feel like was honestly kind of, well, I don't want to say it was a waste, because I feel like you always learn and grow a little bit from every experience, but I definitely don't feel it was worth that amount of money. But, with working with you, it always felt like like someone had my back, someone, was there to encourage me, to push me, to like, and lovingly kick my butt when I needed it. Like, just like, hey, all right, come on. Like, we got to do the work, right? But just in a really loving way. And that's something that I feel like you don't get in a lot of places. You really don't. I really feel like it's so unique that, yeah, just, HeartSells. I mean, it speaks for itself. Like, your brand, represents you and who you are and just what you believe in and your values. And I think that's what people need to decide for themselves. Like, who aligns with my values, right? When I look at this person and how they're showing up and who they are, do I feel loved and supported by them? And if not, if you feel like you're just going to be another number or another, whatever, like, then don't go for it, because like that's not going to serve you ultimately.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that and your perspective on it. I also think it's so important. We all have been burned. I have done those investments where, I was the next number. And that's also why I created what I'm creating, especially with small group and one-on-one coaching, to make sure that this does not happen, right? Because, people really did get burned. And I just want to be the person, happy people make people happy person, and really help them to be empowered and to go for their dreams. It was such a pleasure having you on today. Thank you so, so much, Melissa, and all the best to you. We will definitely have your full name under this interview, as well as a link to your website so people can check out your work. If they have this inner bully, which, to be honest, everybody has one. So if you're thinking about if you have one, that's not the question. The question is, when does it come out? So then you really need to check out Melissa and her beautiful work and connect with her, because at the end of the day, you're just going to win. And thank you so, so much for having been here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and, for what you're putting out into the world.
Thanks.